I wanted to share another easy yarn-oriented project idea that doesn't require any sewing. My last video was about adding lining to a knitted handbag. This time I thought I'd show how to make a hanging wall organizer by attaching a sheet of interfacing to a knitted or crocheted panel. Again, no sewing required. Here's what you'll need for this project. If you've watched my video on adding lining to a knitted bag, you'll recognize these items. If you haven't watched that video, I recommend hopping on over there and just reviewing that section in the beginning because I go into greater detail on these items. The first is a roll of peel and stick fabric fuse adhesive tape. It's like a double-sided tape. It comes on a roll and it's made specifically for fabric. It also works great on yarn. You can get it at any fabric store, and you can also get it at any Walmart that has a sewing department. The next item is interfacing or stabilizer. Now this was an optional item for the handbag project. Here it's a requirement. If you're not familiar with interfacing, it's a sheet of stiff material or foam that you attach to your fabric to add a little sturdiness to it. It comes in different levels of stiffness, and for this project we want the stiffest one, which would be Peltex Extra Firm number 70. It's available at any fabric store, and I've also seen it at Walmart. Next is a large sturdy pillow and some long pins. We use these to stretch the panel out to an even shape and positioning the interfacing on top. Finally, you'll need your yarn panel. As already mentioned, it can either be knitted or crocheted. Here's the one I'll be using. I just made a quick one-pocket version of the longer lavender one I showed a minute ago. The center panel with the cable pattern forms the pocket, and it's bordered on each side with a column edging, behind which the adhesive tape will go. So whatever you're making, just make sure the margins around the pocket are at least as wide as the peel and stick tape, which is 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to start by laying my panel down flat on a large pillow, and I've measured and cut a sheet of interfacing. And I want it to be slightly smaller than the knitted panel. The sides should just reach the knitted panel's edge stitches, and it shouldn't go beyond the first and last rows. Now I'm going to use some corsage pins to stretch the edges and corners and pin them into place. Okay, so now that's all in position. As you can see, I also put a few pins at the top of the pocket opening. Now I'm going to apply the tape. Just like in the handbag video, I recommend applying the tape to the knit and then attach the interfacing to it, not vice versa. Also, I recommend using small segments of tape and not one long continuous strip. I found it's a lot easier to apply that way. So the tape should fit nicely right there in that groove behind that 3-stitch column. And it doesn't extend beyond the edge stitch, so that's good. Okay, now I'm just going to continue going around applying little pieces of tape, just like that. So that's all done. I'm just going to go around giving it a good pinch to make sure the tape is fully adhering to the panel. And now I'm going to remove the backing. So there's the exposed tape. And now I'm going to ever so lightly drop the interfacing on top. And I'm going to nudge it around, making sure it's in place. Once I'm satisfied with the placement, I'm going to push down firmly to make the sheet stick. Now I'm going to remove the pins. And I'm going to squeeze it together one last time in a few more places. And there's my knitted hanging pocket. Now, if you want the center pocket edge to be more even, you could add a piece of interfacing to line the inside of the pocket, right there. That would do two things. That would stretch it vertically a bit more, and it would also make the inside smooth and perhaps a bit easier to slide objects in. They won't get snagged on the stitches. Otherwise, I think we're finished. Before I go, I just want to mention a few things about shape. I recommend sticking to a single long, narrow column design as opposed to a wide rectangle shape with side-by-side pockets. I learned this the hard way. Here's the first one I made. I put so much time into the creative design that I neglected to consider the mechanical aspect. After finishing it, I hung it up to try it out. I put one item in one pocket, and here's what happened. So the culprit here is that single D-ring in the middle. I added a chain strap, hoping that would keep it even. It helped slightly, but it was still crooked. The only fix here would be to have two D-rings, one on each end. But then you're faced with making two holes in your wall, and that definitely does not appeal to a lot of people, including myself. But even this design ended up being a little wobbly. It works fine with lightweight objects, but as you can see, if I put something heavy in it, like my phone, it becomes lopsided. So keep those things in mind when you're designing yours. I'd recommend playing it safe and keep the design to one long narrow column, and you won't have to worry about putting something too heavy inside causing it to hang crooked.